Well, what I'll try and do today then is obviously everyone uses ServiceNow for IT, so again I'm not just going to run through what an incident is, what the problem is, what the changes. That would be a fairly boring demonstration. So we'll try and look at some of the features that have been explained today in terms of some of the new bits in Madrid, some of the parts you may not have used before, and then we'll look at some change management pieces as well in terms of do you use things like conflict detection at the moment. So using some of the richer features within ServiceNow, so we can look at some of those pieces. Well, start with in terms of persona-wise, I'll start with the customer, the end user, and rather than doing any emails or phone calls, like we said last time, it's a fairly boring demonstration, we'll try and look at the two visual pieces, which is going to be the virtual agent for the conversational, and then the service catalog for the transactional type interaction with the service provider or the IT department. Do you guys currently have a service catalog? Anyone running a service catalog front end for requests and for incidents, all that sort of stuff? Okay. Oh, that's very impressive. Normally not a lot of nodding there. And again, so you've probably therefore got a service portal and you're probably bubbling up various bits of information in various different widgets. I picked a bunch today for a demonstration here, right? But obviously you see they're configurable and flexible. And obviously they can bring in information not just from ServiceNow, but from external systems. So I've actually hooked up here the current status piece, which is integrated with my event management piece. So again, it's a single portal, single pane of glass that all the IT services can be offered out in terms of interaction with the customers. And it can be dynamic as well, right? If I log in as an approver user, I can see my approvals there. If I log in as a manager, I see a different list. If I log in as a user, I see a different list. So the actual widget load can be completely dynamic. So also when I start looking at this journey, if we talk about things like search as a service or single search as well, so I can say, as I probably would do very naturally, if I have an issue with slow email, for instance, let's go, help me. I want to try and bring stuff back from various different sorts. So this is bringing information back not only from ServiceNow in terms of existing knowledge, existing cases if it was CSM, existing items in the service portal, but it's also hooked up to things like Confluence and SharePoint. So if you have siloed knowledge within the organization that you need to search, you can search a variety of different sources directly from ServiceNow, especially ones that provide web services in effect. So that helps bring things together and helps remove that horrible paradigm we need to say to your customers, okay, if you need A, you need to go to site B. If you need C, you need to talk to person Z, email this email address, everything in the same place. And with a well-designed service portal, you can make it a single page as well, with a correct widget load driven by role and persona within the system. So I open up my catalog. Browse by categories. So obviously mainly an IT audience, but again you can bring a variety of different business units into the catalog. I've got things like facilities management, infrastructure services, peripherals and so forth, so it doesn't just need to be IT services. Has anyone got any other business unit services within the catalogue, or is it mainly IT for you guys? Mainly IT. Okay, so a lot of different obviously services can be ordered from here, incidents logged, from very simple ones like I need new software, as we all know, right through to quite complex pieces around things like things like JML processes, so joiners, movers, levers. And a nice concept here is obviously it being the ServiceNow platform at the back end, you can assign tasks out across the enterprise. So if you think about a joiners process, we're talking about people like HR, facilities, IT, and also some level of automation. Maybe after approval, you want ServiceNow to create the Active Directory account automatically, add them to the right distribution list based on their job, automatically generate a contract with HR. Is anyone using any level of orchestration for fulfillment? Actually automating the fulfillment of requests through the service portal, service catalog? Yeah. Oh, perfect. I mean, really quite a good example of one I think that's a really good candidate to be hooked up is SCCM for things like client software delivery. So if I request Microsoft Access project, whatever it might be, you can use things like SCCM to automatically install that on my machine after approval. and to do things like patch management, or maybe if some sort of alerts come from my virus scanner through ServiceNow and they go out to that be automatically delivered. So there is a really good use case in terms of making sure your headcount on the desk is in the right place to fulfill some of those recurring tasks. I mean, a classic one is password reset. Anyone automating password resets, or is it still a ticket? What percentage of your tickets are around password reset? Sorry? A lot. So imagine if password reset was done automatically, what you could do with all that resource in terms of something more proactive, something more to do with either the resolution of major incidents or actually rather than just sitting there doing password reset. So password reset is a really good candidate again for some level of automation, fulfillment automation. Okay, so let me just, I'll create an incident through the front end. So some level of process integration here as well. This is a context-driven search piece, so it's actually integrating knowledge management and incident management together. So a typical approach to ticket deflection is I'm typing ahead saying I'm having slow reports. ServiceNow is going to go to my knowledge base or knowledge bases and bring back articles related to that in terms of some sort of fuzzy logic. Is anyone integrating at all knowledge management, or is it a bit standalone at the moment? Is it actually enriching other processes, or you're using it in this particular way, are you? Okay. For both the end users and also the fulfillers, do you have it running on the agent view? Since you've started doing that, have you seen any return on investment in terms of lowering the number of tickets you get? Okay, so it's been a positive change in terms. You've had it for a long time. So I suppose, obviously, I'm preaching to the converted here, but if you have a knowledge base and you use incident management, that is not something difficult to implement. There's a standard widget, so it's easy to drag and drop into the form you use to create incidents. Again, it just really helps these processes like CMDB and knowledge management are good standalone, but their real value is enriching the customer-facing processes. Right, I'm fussy today. Nothing has helped me, so I'm just going to submit that. We'll have a look at that slightly later on. Right, of course, the other exciting piece, obviously we all know about now, we've been taught to death, is the virtual agent. So this concept of conversational approach to service management. So I'm showing it through the web browser. It's fully out of the box. It has a configuration or a plugin for Microsoft Teams, Slack, and obviously therefore Skype for Business as well. So you can view it obviously through your phone, through the native desktop client as well. So let me just click this button first of all. So there are roughly, I think, 32 across all of the various different processes out of the box conversations now. Checking on ticket status, submitting tickets, submitting cases, escalations, HR queries and so forth. As well as being able to do it directly from a list like that, is also, as you saw earlier in the slides, uses natural language understanding and processing. So I could type something along the lines of incident, and it's going to bring me back a related list of things I want to do that are close to that word. So I could obviously check the IT ticket status, but what I'm going to do today is try and open an IT ticket. So we're going to have a similar integration here between the conversational view of submitting an incident and actually that knowledge as well. So the chatbot is going to try and, they're impressed at least with our knowledge management approach. Between the conversational view of trying to submit an incident, again trying to deflect that ticket again by bubbling up relevant knowledge base articles. Today, no, does not helped. Yeah, I actually said yes, let's do that again. Open my ticket. So 6 reports. And again, it's going to grab the same fields as you saw during the e-form, in effect. And it's going to bubble up the information, the same one you saw in that sort of twittered timeline view of the back end as well. Ticket number. Or I can hot link exactly through to the same form as well. So exactly the same process from your support model, just a very different way of interacting with the back end. And if I go back to the other conversations, yeah, so a few different ways of looking at that. Firstly, there's a traditional, so if I linked across, let me go back up, if I link across to this article, I can say from here whether or not it helped and leave feedback, so the traditional way of approaching it. As Ian described in the CSM piece, you can also do it from a sort of predictive perspective. So if I've looked for an article around, whatever it might be, an HR piece or slow reports there, and then I do not log a ticket within an hour, we can presume that has helped me. If I log a ticket an hour later or half an hour later on a completely different matter that might be driven from that, we can presume it can help me. So we can store who's looked at what, we can store whether they're marked as helpful, and we can probably also extrapolate from that whether or not they then logged off the system, didn't log a ticket, took no further action, that did help them. So it's not an exact science, that one, it's an extrapolation based on their behaviour after they view the article. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So again, it's not an exact piece. ServiceNow is not going to know exactly if that helped or not, but it can, based on your behaviour afterwards, have a pretty good guess.
Is it possible to kind of trigger follow-up questions to answer keywords? If you said email, is it possible for it to give you, ask some additional questions to capture information that's going to be useful for the end user to help them resolve it?
Yeah, it is. Very much like the sort of the update to Alexa quite recently, so you can follow on conversationally from the first question, absolutely. Probably almost alludes back to your first question about change models, right? So it's a similar concept. You can drive different workflows based on choices and different fields, just like on a form. If I choose email, maybe I actually require, like you say, 2 other fields on the incident form to be filled in. It would be the same in a question-based format rather than a form, so just as dynamic. So yeah, you can be conversational with it. You can write your own conversations, your own scripted conversations, or you can leverage any one of the sort of 32 that are there out of the box. Things like system statuses, is email down, all that sort of good stuff as well. Password reset links, requests for leave. There's a fairly comprehensive list of out of the box. So one of the nice pieces about this is if you're going to go out of the box with the conversations, it doesn't actually require a lot of implementation time. It pretty much, nothing ever is, but pretty much just turn it on and it's going to be there. The ability to log a ticket you don't need to have or spend a lot of time getting it right. If you want to write your own custom conversations, ask different branches based on their answers, that's a bit more involved. This is now to the box ones, it's simple. It's a turn on and go, in effect. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to take my employee hat off now. I've logged a couple of tickets. I'm going to look at it from a back-end view. Obviously, there's lots of different pieces I can do in the portal. Is anyone using the walk-up experience at all? I haven't seen a huge deal of adopters so far for it. It's one of those interesting pieces. Yeah.
And when you can see the queue getting closer to your time, you take 5 minutes to go over there to be there just in time.
Oh, do they think they literally means they just walk up?
Yeah, but they think it's one way. You start at 3:30 in the afternoon or whatever. And it's because we don't have access to demos force them to sit in the demo too either. But we do keep looking at it and going, it's a no-brainer. But we're solid. We just don't.
One thing, really interesting use case that worked really well, I was with a customer the other day. They've had this situation where if someone loses a laptop, forgets their laptop, is traveling, doesn't have a laptop, they can actually loan a laptop from the equipment. So they just book a time, say I need a mouse, I need a keyboard, I need X, Y, Z, and they just go and pick it up. There's some really good use cases. Okay.
It's just the people who work in that facility. But if there are a lot of people who go over at the same time, you could be sat waiting for half an hour, 3/4 of an hour for your slot in the queue, and they can't get their head around the fact that logging it on the system just means you join the queue virtually, as opposed to because you are physically present. And if you haven't wandered over and turned up by the time you get to the top of the queue, they can see the person after you.
Yeah.
I log on and I book an appointment at 3:30. That's not the way it works.
No.
We also have people who like enter ID numbers paper when you go and see them, so it's a little bit.
Yeah,
Some parts of it are really good, some parts of it are
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's their understanding of how it works.
So a bit of mixed feedback, because obviously it seems like you've got to get the manual process aspects correct as well as the tool that supports those processes, and obviously the hearts and the minds of the people that are using it, so they understand it's not like the sort of old deli paradigm when you get a ticket, you pull your ticket from the thing and then you wait to get your your ham, as it were. So yeah, absolutely, it needs to be supported by a strong approach. It doesn't suit everyone, I don't think. I don't think it's designed to suit everyone either. Okay, but obviously you can do that all through the service portal as well. So now we just jump into the fulfiller view, my agent view. It's Beth. Right, rather than showing you the traditional incident form, I'm sure everyone's seen that. Let's have a look at the agent workspace and what that means now. If I could spell work, it would really help. I don't know why this guy's surfing here. We can take the guy surfing away. I cloned this demo instance down the other day. Got my surfing friend. So only certain things, and they are the sort of the core pieces, are supported by the workspace. So you've got your incident management, your case management for external folk. You've got the walk-up pieces. You've got things in Madrid around knowledge as well, and also now alert management. So if you are using monitoring tools to be proactive about monitoring a network and so forth, they can all be in the same place. So the major driver for the agent workspace, if we sort of remove all the marketing words, is that there's a lot of feedback from the community that some of these ServiceNow approach to the forms was somewhat peculiar and backwards. Why are things like SLAs the most important piece? Why do I have to scroll down 3 pages to see the SLAs? So it was a bit top to bottom and not exactly putting the right things front and center. The concept was, let's make this more modern. Let's look at the way we can have all that good information in the same place. You probably had complaints right from your staff, I'd imagine. It's like, all the information's there, it's there, Dom, but I've got to go 5 or 6 different pages to grab it. I need it all in the same place. So that really was the approach here with Agent Workspace. So I open up an incident. Okay. So a couple of pieces just to consider outside of the consolidation is tab browsing. So there were ways around it, but obviously the way browsers share cache, it wasn't great to try and use separate browser tabs to move between cases, because we all know that back button problem, right? You press the back button on this tab and it takes you to the back page on the first tab, and it's horrible. So this concept of being able to dynamically add, incidents, knowledge-based articles, alerts, so I can work on multiple tickets at the same time and bring together everything I need in the same place. I won't have to swap between browsers and browsers windows and get lost. Also, this concept now of bringing it to a tab view in terms of everything trying to be sort of much more squished, so I don't need to scroll up and down the page in effect. So my field details, the SLAs, effective configuration items, and so forth are all on the same page. Let me just see if I can find an instance with slightly more stuff going on. Let's try and find my incident I submitted a few seconds ago. Oh. too much swiping. Yeah, here we are. Okay, so this is the one I've just submitted. We can see it come in. First of all, we can see the activity next to the details. Obviously, that used to be just below, which again, what's going on with that ticket, especially from a supervisory or a management perspective, is so important. So why was it hidden away? So now we can have, we can start building the conversational piece between us, our colleagues, the customer, updates to ticket fields, escalations based on SLA performance. That whole stream of consciousness that's so important is now aligned just as important, the details of the ticket. So as we keep going right, we now start seeing some of the Madrid versions in terms of agent intelligence. So this is a concept of the similarity engine, the correlation engine, going out to all the relevant tables in ServiceNow, whether it be other incidents, whether it be pieces of knowledge, whether it be documents, and putting it all in the same place, pulling it all together. So the agent assist, so we've got the agent intelligence doing that correlation piece, and the agent assist, if you want it sort of broken down again, if we remove the marketing words that are used quite a lot, the agent intelligence is going and searching the system for similar items. The agent assist is using some level of machine learning and intelligence to say, okay, even if this isn't similar, isn't correlated based on my intelligence, I'm telling you I think these articles, these documents, these other related items are going to help you resolve it, or at least give you a guidance in that way. And again, it's there, it's on the same page. I don't have to go to a different page, I don't have to scroll down through 4 or 5 different pages, it's all in the same place. Attachment lists and also templates, if we use templates, we're not in this particular example. Apart from that, so it's a newer, more modern UI, everything in the same place. We can choose whether we look at it in a slightly different way. Split view seems to be the most popular. So maybe I'll open up my configuration item, same sort of approach. So you notice now the next level down as well. So as I'm going from this incident, I've got my list of incidents at the top. So for this particular incident, I've just opened up things like the related configuration item. So not having to go to a different page, things like the related submitter or resolver or assignee. So you are then bringing it down to tabbed, like the dot walking lists we talked about before, right? So the dot walking lists are now going to be on the same place without having to physically move to another web page. Sure. These tabs here? Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So exactly the same way. Obviously, I won't do the admin part of this demonstration, but remember how you added related lists before? You'd open up configuration, related lists, and move them onto the form. It's the same process.
Just a section tab. Just a section tab.
Okay.
Yeah. They're just down, just scroll down.
They're broken down now like this. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I misunderstood what you meant. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I suppose you need to draw a line under the tab somehow, and maybe I think they thought maybe 4 levels of tabs is too much tab.
It might inform design. Every time I've seen this demo, it's been based on incident.
Yep.
And I get that because the service desk is obviously a key user. But does it work for all the other record types as well? Because I am fed up of having to go from record to record to record in changes, and I like that just opening them as tabs.
So it currently works for the walk-up experience, case management, well, everything down here in effect, customer service management, interactions, tasks. It currently does not work for problem and change. But if you were I do not think so, no. Well, maybe I might just be I might be lying to you. But last time well, they're an extension of task, aren't they? Requests.
Because those are both quite different use cases, and they happen to be our use cases. And that would be an opportunity to speak to Mr. ServiceNow and say, you've missed a trick there.
Yeah. So I will find out the exact list of supported records. I'll do that directly after this. I've got a funny feeling they don't. It's no problem changer. In London, it was only incident. Of course, probably New York. I mean, I can't guarantee you, right? But I'd imagine over the next few releases, they're going to roll it out to many other task types.
Yeah, I mean, it's just in change of problem, we have just as many needs to open all those extra walking records as we do in fact, probably more so than in service requests.
Yeah. I mean, has anyone ever used Salesforce's Lightning UI? Anyone ever used Salesforce? So it has a relatively similar approach to tabs. Like you say, every single table in Salesforce can be opened as a tab. So I'd imagine that would be an approach that would happen, but I will check the exact types. And there's this concept of, as well as lists to look through as you would do before, my groups tickets, my tickets, all tickets. There's this concept of, very confusingly called an inbox. It's not an inbox in the traditional sense, but all your tasks, requests, incidents, and so forth would go into that like a personal version. Yeah, and you can also set yourself, because it's omnichannel inbox, so it's not just ServiceNow tickets. There's availability for chat, there's availability to take phone calls, so I can put myself online, offline, available like you would do with any sort of instant messaging client, so people can contact me and they know I am working in a support role at that point. So it's a little bit more than that, but yes, it's like your personal list to go through. So rather than me just running through ITIL, as it were, does anyone have any specific things they wanted to see around ITSM or any questions they had to ask? Or? Yes, it does, absolutely. Teams took the Skype for Business, and that is now the chat part of Teams. So the chat piece completely integrates. Also, more importantly, the virtual agent I showed you earlier can appear as a little Teams guy. So you can click on the guy in Teams and chat through Teams as you would do with any of your colleagues. Yes, absolutely. Teams and Slacks and Skype for Business it supports. Any other specific questions or queries? I've got a fairly big or full demo build, so I should be able to show you most parts of ServiceNow. Apart from change models, I haven't forgotten. I've got that guy. I'll make sure he talks to you before he leaves. Yep. So, is there anything? So change in ServiceNow. You use it currently. So, I won't go into the sort of patronising part of it, but it's driven first of all by the change types, right? So, out of the box types, you can create your own types, and at the moment, roughly, without talking about the flows you were getting to, that's almost a one-to-one relationship with a workflow for task and approval. So, normal out of the box, I think, is technical approval by the assignee group, and then CAB approval. Emergency is just CAB, and standard is the one that maybe that we could work from in your particular perspective, because it is broken down into a catalog first of all. So I can do things like network changes and standard changes. So if I choose my server standard changes, I then have a templated approach to things we do a lot. So maybe there could be different workflows behind those, but the reason I say that hesitantly is because generally, if I open up this particular standard server change, you'll notice these boxes get grayed out because they're pre-approved. So there's no approval workflows for standard changes. So that's why I just need to work out exactly the best way to achieve your workflow.
What's the challenge?
So we've got kind of a requirement to, within the concept of normal change, to potentially treat things like infrastructure changes, share infrastructure, sports, many normal change against a specific application or service. It's all within one area of responsibility to understand kind of where the approval should be moved to.
Oh, that's easy.
But I think there was slightly more than that when you explained it this morning.
That was one of our big challenges, getting the right approvers in the right places.
But,
And the idea that an assignment group approve changes is top because they don't have the
I think the
It's
challenge.
service that holds the risk, so they should approve.
I thi-
Yeah, there's lots of that we've done, and I'm quite happy to talk through what we've done and share.
So I think maybe I misunderstood you earlier because that is.
And I did say easy in a very trite way. It did take several months of some very skilled people.
It was probably.
to sort it all out.
It was probably
But it was
more difficult from a process and a data collecting experience rather than a technical collecting. But I think you alluded to earlier that not only are there different approval groups, there might be different workflows, i.e. one might need 3 approvals, one might need 1, might have different implementation tasks. If that's not the case, then that is very achievable without any.
We go to multiple approvers. We trigger approvers based on if a CI is a server
Yep.
or a cloud platform instance, it will go and it will find every application deployment that is hosted on
Yep.
that host, and it will pull in each of the services that those application deployments are in as an impacted
Yeah.
service. And if it requires approval, it will seek approval from all of those rather than just the one that goes with the service that CI.
So that is your use case.
Yeah, I think some of it is kind of tied
It
in.
won't be identical groups in that space.
Yeah.
Do you have the scenario in your particular approach that maybe actually it's not just that it will require approval from a number of people, but a different workflow? So 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6 approval stages, 16 implementation tasks, the only other one that only needs 2. Can you fire off different workflows based on that approach? I think that was a comment you were making.
We have, because we've got flow design,
Yep.
because we do use templated changes, we have the capability to do that.
Okay.
And we already trigger task automation templates to be added to, depending on the change, there are triggers in the change that will cause it to add extra tasks specifically to changes and things like that. So yes, we do
Okay.
do that to a degree. Approvals, sometimes we have looked at approvals purely and determined that's not always the best approach. One of the things we've done is we've had, especially in the space of our regulatory control applications,
Yep.
what we've done is set up task automation templates that will force planning tasks to be added to changes. They don't affect the approvals of the change, but those planning tasks are added based on specific CI criteria, basically that says it's regulatory control or whatever. And we have set up our workflow that you cannot get a change scheduled regardless
Okay.
of approval. A normal change schedule gives us an outstanding planning task. So they have to complete the planning task, so provide the necessary evidences
Yeah.
and all those sorts of things, which is a lot of what those extra workflow approvals
Yeah, it makes
about.
sense.
You just can't get the change to schedule. Everybody can approve it, but the applicant will set tasks, so you're not getting to it, you're not getting to schedule, you can't implement it.
And you've done this on what version of ServiceNow?
London.
Which version of ServiceNow have you achieved this on? London. You mentioned you were talking maybe about a new feature in Madrid. I just think we're maybe talking at cross purposes slightly.
There's something on approval models.
Okay.
Something I've heard that hasn't been able to find information.
I guess there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? As they say. So
I've got to mention,
just,
interested to know what you know, if you do find out,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that Madrid stuff? 'Cause
I'll make sure I get my expert to.
the approval model out of the box is quite naive, given the complexity of some of the organisations, especially when you
Yeah.
start getting into regulatory controls and things.
Of course.
And trying to marry it with your DevOps and Agile, things go through quickly with streamlined approvals where it should be, or even no approvals in some cases, versus the slightly more complex, oh my god, change that can break it.
It'd be good to
Here to do the networking and make the connections. Excellent stuff.
Tick in the box.
Tick in the box. I have networked. Yes, I think we're going to do the ITOM demonstration in a few minutes. So any other questions around ITSM? Obviously, this wasn't really a demonstration of ITSM, but more the value of some of the features around the agent workspace and so forth it can bring in terms of consolidating the UI and conversational approaches. But any specific questions about ITSM or the platform or what you've heard today from Adam or Chris's or Ian's speeches? Oh, well, thank you very much then for coming.